Good afternoon and welcome to Tasting Beer with the Old Growler. I'm the Old Growler, Pete LaFrance, and it is Monday, the 20th of July, 2020, and this is a special beer tasting. First of all, welcome to all of you people who are new here. I'm glad to have you aboard. Relax, sit down, have a beer, and get ready for a very interesting tasting today. For those of you who have been here before, you know pretty much how things work. Okay. We used to, back when we had the pubs, bars, and taverns of New York open, on Thursdays we'd get together at the Henry Street Ale House over in Brooklyn Heights, one of the best beer bars in Brooklyn Heights for sure. And sit down there, and the bartender and the manager of Jerry Scott and Jim Bennett and I, and usually 3 or 4 other people, because there were some people that were always in there. It's at the end of the Brooklyn Bridge and always an interesting place for customers, for tourists to stop by. Well, since there aren't any tourists anymore, and since I can't get over to the ale house, this is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to taste the beer here. Now, this is how we usually ran things over there. It was called Meeting Expectations, and we would take a beer that was sent to me as a sample, or sometimes I'd go pick one up, and we'd take a look here. Well, I've got 2 of them right here. We'd take a look at what they look like. Okay, a little bit of artwork, and take in what they're trying to say, and then we'd read off the information on the can. We'd take a look and see what the alcohol by volume was. We'd take a look and see what the international bittering units were. And this one, as you can see, has quite a story behind it. That's for sure. And of course, we'd read if there were any special ingredients. Belgian-style dark ale brewed with cinnamon, vanilla, oak chips, and dried figs. That was the Monk's Blood from the 21st Amendment. And this was their Insurrection series. And the dialogue on here, it explains all about Monk's Blood and why it's there. And we found out that it has 8.3% alcohol by volume, and we did not know the bittering units. Now, we did, as you can see, this was empty. We did taste this before, and I will leave the tasting note link in the description box below, and that way you can see all of the information about this particular beer, Monk's Blood, from the 21st Amendment Brewing Company. And on the other hand, we've got Founders, and this is Unraveled IPA, a juicy India Pale Ale. And it tells us that it is, let's see now, it's right here, 6.6% alcohol by volume and 50 international bittering units. So we figured it was a juicy, which means it's a cloudy pale India ale and India Pale Ale. And we would take a look and say, all right, well, what is this exactly? We know what the label says. We know what the information on it is. We know what it's supposed to be. Let's crack it open. Jerry Scott would crack it open, pour it into a tasting glass, and pass it around. We'd see if it met expectations. If it did, it got a thumbs up. And if it didn't, it gets a thumbs down. Well, today it's a little bit different. Today what's going to happen is I went out, or I should say, Mrs. Old Beer Growler went out and picked up a couple of IPAs. One of them from Founders, and the other one from 21st Amendment. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I wrapped them both in white paper. I attached information on it, the cheat sheet, giving all of the statistics and some of the tasting notes. And I left them in the refrigerator. I have no idea which one I'm going to get. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack it open, pour it into the usual beer tasting glass, and this is a beer. We use a wine tasting glass because that way it keeps all beers on an even level. You don't have special glassware for any of the others to either capture or let loose some of the aromatics that we're going to be trying. Okay, let's have the beer. Now, Mrs. Old Growler has just brought it in. Here it is. Okay, now I'm going to take the cheat sheet off. I'm going to put it right over there. Now, I have no idea if this one is the IPA from Founders or if it's from 21st Amendment. And as you can see, I left quite a bit of paper up here for pouring so that I can't see any of the information. So let's crack this open and see if the Old Growler, first of all, can pick which one it is. And second of all, if my taste buds match up with the information on the cheat sheet right here. Okay. Without further ado, whoops, away from the computer. The computer's had a beer before and it didn't like it. And I didn't like it that the computer had the beer. So let's crack this open. Whoa, there it is. That's a foamy one. Okay. Now, as I say, I do know that this is either the Founders Centennial IPA or 21st Amendment's Live Free or Die IPA. Okay. Now, let's try and pour this. I'm going to have to tear the paper down a little bit, push it in so I can't see the label. Oh, this is a foamy one. Yep, it's a foamy one, all right. Boy, am I glad I'm wearing a pair of trousers that are practically impervious to beer and water and all that kind of good stuff. Okay, well, this looks like an IPA. I mean, it is a little hazy though, so I'm a little worried about that. And the head, as I say, I poured it. We had a little trouble getting it into the glass. But I'm going to let this settle down just a little bit. Now, what am I looking for in an India Pale Ale? Well, usually they're very highly hopped. That's to start with, because the story has it that it went off to India or the other parts of the British colonies for the soldiers, and they would take the beer there. So it had to be heavily hopped and heavily alcohol, a lot of alcohol, because it needed to last long enough on the trip. And they didn't have the steel kegs that we've got today, the aluminum kegs. No, they had wooden kegs, and they took a little bit of a beating, as well as it took a long time to get to India or any place else that the colonies existed. Okay, this looks like as I say, it's a little bit hazy, so I'm hesitant. I don't know whether Founders or 21st Amendment specializes in it, and I don't know. So let's take a nosedive. Oh, there's certainly a lot of hop in there. And there seems to be a mixture of hop flavors too. I mean, that's got a very, it's not distinctive. It's not like all Cascade. It's not all Citra. There's a quite of a difference in hop flavors or hop aromas in there. All right, now let's take the first swig. Well, it's an IPA, that's for sure. And it has a long-lasting aftertaste, or finish, as I like to call it. It finishes off a long time. Again, there's a lot of hops in here, a lot of different hops as well. So I'm going to guess. Now, as we know, Founders, 21st Amendment is out. Let's see, where is it? 21st Amendment is out in Colorado, is Cold Springs, Minnesota. And these folks, the Founders, are in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So it's, well, Michigan and Minnesota, pretty much the same part of the country. So you're not going to have, I'm not looking for West Coast hops. So it is going to be a little bit laid back. So I do know that, which makes it a little bit more difficult, because if it was loaded with Cascade, I would know if it's from the West Coast. And if it was over here on the East Coast, it would probably have Simcoe or Citra or one of the other more lemony types of flavors. And it would also be hazy. All right, let's have one more. and I'll see what I'll decide which one I think it is. Let's take a look. Okay, once again, it's nicely balanced, but it has a long finish and is very aromatic. The hops are very aromatic. So those are the notes that I've taken. And as far as the alcohol content, now I do know that Founders is 65 international bittering units, and the 21st Amendment is 70 bittering units. So they're not that much different. So that's going to be a hard one to call. Now, do I think this has more bitter than 65? I don't think so. I'm willing to bet that this is a Founders. It is a little bit higher in alcohol, 7.2%. I'm willing to bet that this is the Founders. So let's see if the Old Growler knows what he's talking about. Is it the Founders or is it the 21st Amendment? Let's reach over. Let's take the, now, oh dear, it's the 21st Amendment. All right. Well, I had Founders down, and nope, it's the 21st Amendment. Now, let's see if my taste buds agree with the cheat sheet. Brew Free or Die IPA, India Pale Ale, alcohol 7%, IBUs 70. Like Abe, we believe in freedom from the notion that IPA should only assail you with bitterness, and from the idea that a big balanced hoppy beer can't possibly come in a can. We believe that those who have tasted freedom shall forever brew free. Brew Free or Die IPA is available year-round in 6-pack cans, 12-pack cans, and draft. Our golden West Coast IPA is perfectly balanced with a solid malt background and just the right amount of hop flavor and aroma. Okay, they even tell us right here what the hops are, the malts are. It's a two-row malt, two-row pale. There's Munich and Caramalt, which that adds to the body, and I missed that. The hop flavors are Centennial and Cascade, and I couldn't pick the Cascade out. Oh boy. And the dry hopping in here is Amarillo, Cascade, Simcoe. Those are the dry hops. And then the bitter hops they have down is CTZ, which I'll have to take a look and find out what that is. But some of the tasting notes, let's see if they're as good as I will. Well, if I match them. Golden amber color with a frothy head. Yes, that does not leave or lose flavor too soon. Not a lot of citrus, but light tones for nice drinking IPA. 21st is consistent with clean, very drinkable brews that don't overpower the IPA. Okay. Clear yellow. Well, well, hold on, man. Did this clear up on me? Let's take a look. What do you think? Is that clear yellow? It looks a little hazy to me, and it looks a little copper. So, clear yellow amber. All right, it is yellow amber. Filtered with a bubbly head and foamy cap lacing. Yes, it does. On glass, super carbonated. Looks almost thin, as if it wasn't for the haziness. It has haziness here. Low citrus smell. Bready orange apricots, but nothing too strong. Low in bitterness at beginning. Low orange taste with a good bitter, good after bitter that doesn't linger long. No real alcohol aftertaste. Medium body, good carbonation. Leaves you dry at the end, wanting more with a light, sticky residue. Well, I managed to hit half of those bases, so I guess this is a double. Not a home run for the Old Growler, but certainly a double. And I'm getting that orange now. I had to be led to it, but the apricots I'm not getting. But I do think it lingers a little bit longer than the tasters. And the tasting notes that I have here are from the Beer Advocate. So I'll leave the link in the description box below as well. But well, first of all, the Old Growler missed the brand. Okay, well, that's possible. The Old Growler missed some of the flavor and certainly the hops. Now I'm going to see if I can find some of that grapefruit in here. That's, well, wait a minute. All right. It's not super evident. And let's see, did they put it in as bitter, as aromatic or bittering? And I'm going to take a look. Flavor hops. So I guess the way they say here, flavor hops and dry hops. The flavor hops are going to give it, of course, the flavor. The dry hopping is going to give it the aromatics. So, well, I missed the Cascade altogether. I'm flabbergasted. Nevertheless, the Old Growler made an effort. And for those of you who are watching, if you enjoyed this, give a thumbs up. Also, if you really enjoy it, subscribe and click on the bell, and that way you won't miss any of the Old Growler or any of the other presentations. We're going to be doing some other presentations. I think we're going to be doing some live stuff later on in the summer. So it'll be interesting. I want you to, don't forget to, as I say, to subscribe, because that way you won't miss anything. And next time, I will certainly leave information in the social network channels, YouTube, Facebook and LinkedIn and a few of the others. And that way you can see anytime that I'm going to have one of the mystery beers. So that way you won't miss any of the mystery beers. We might have a few more of those coming up. I really got a kick out of this one. And if you got a kick out of it, please subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss any of the others. Okay, well, I thank everybody who shows up to watch this today. I thank everybody who stops in to watch this later on. And this is the Old Growler, hoping all of your beers meet oh, did it meet expectations? Well, I didn't have any expectations for this one, but I'll tell you, I'm the Old Growler, and I do hope that all of your beers meet expectations.